Ready.
Hi, and welcome everybody to another edition of the Winner's Circle Sports Betting Podcast. Today is another NFL playoff edition. This time joining myself and Mr. Sean Higgs, as always on a Thursday, is Doug Upstone of DocSports.com. Great panel here today, folks. We're going to be covering 3 NFL games. I'll be looking at the Giants in Minnesota, Doug, Miami, Buffalo, and Sean will be looking at the Monday night matchup between the Dallas Cowboys and Tampa Bay Bucks. Without further ado, gentlemen, how are you?
Excellent, Ross. Doing very well. And hey, here we go. NFL ready to go. And I know myself, and I'm not going to cut off Sean's time here, but hey, won 7 of the last 8 weeks in the NFL. So looking to make it happen yet again this upcoming weekend.
What about you there, Mr. Higgs?
Just getting ready for a nice wildcard weekend. Had a good season in NFL. I'm just going to keep it going. What's there to say? Hopefully, nice 4-0, something like that. Along lines 4-1. I'll take it. I don't know. we're just trucking along in NFL. So I got
having a terrific NFL season, just like Doug and myself. I finished with a winning record during the regular season, 14 games over. 500. Sean, where are you, 63% or something like that?
50 games over, 125 and 75.
170.
Wow, outstanding.
175 picks. That'll make you a lot of money. Not only a volume handicapper to wins, but the wins at a high percentage. And folks, I could tell you, seasons like that are few and far between.
Yes, they are.
So relish them while they may. But again, we're talking about guys who have proven track records, and Doug Upstone and Sean Higgs and also myself as well, by the way. Any articles that you read this week, Sean? Did we need to take like 20 minutes and put it aside so you can go on a rant about?
That UConn one from yesterday, and it paid off, right? Marquette got it done.
Yeah, there you go. You were the only winner yesterday, so you had Marquette.
That was just you think about teams playing true road games, and you hear one at a team like UConn, who's been ranked they've been a ranked team for the last 10 years, right? 9 years their last true road win. That's a crazy stat.
Yeah, absolutely. And Doug, any thoughts on the world of sports betting or any particular topic?
Well, the one thing that's interesting to me is this weekend, and in the last 5 years, underdogs are 16-8. Okay. Yeah. Hard to ignore that.
That's the wild card round, Doug?
That's the wild card round. That is correct.
That's valuable information there in itself. Now, that doesn't guarantee the underdogs are going to win this week, but it goes to show you it's not a chalk haven type of week, at least in recent years anyway. All right.
And it's appeared that, has one last thing too, is and how it's, a lot of those weekends have not appeared to where it would be like this. And now we're on our second year in a row of having 6 games. So that adds a whole different dynamic compared to the 4 before that. So different deal altogether for sure.
I mean, I don't know how you gentlemen feel, but I sort of like this format now. The top seed in each conference gets a bye, and we see more football at this time of year. The problem is, okay, and I know I'm going to hear this through the course of our conversations, is it's a little watered down too. I mean, you look at teams like Seattle and Miami, Baltimore, all teams that are injury riddled, especially at the quarterback position, and probably not deserving to be there. Their overall record says they should be. But I mean, when you look at some of these teams and how they played down the stretch, they leave a lot to be desired. You guys' thoughts on that?
Go ahead, John.
I say definitely some teams limping in here. And you got 2 teams, as Ravens and Miami, with backup and actually third-string quarterbacks.
Yeah. Well,
third-string quarterbacks coming.
Tyler Huntley hasn't been ruled out completely yet, I don't believe, Sean.
Okay, but are you got a lot of faith in him who hasn't played in the week to come in and
not in a big game situation.
If you guys are backup quarterback in a wild card round, you're in trouble.
No,
a team that's averaging 14 15 points a game in the last 2 months.
Yeah, well, we're not picking a Super Bowl winner here. We're picking against the spread, buddy.
And I'm always for less is more when it comes to playoff teams. Like I don't need a 12-team college football playoff. No. We see what happens here. We don't need that many teams.
Sean,
you want to go 6? Okay. And they want to do NCAA tournament. They want to go to 90. Are you out of your mind? There's maybe 10 teams that can win any given year. 90 teams. What are we doing? No, less. I want less baseball teams overall. I want quality.
It's about money.
I know it's about the money. Come on,
buddy. You're not gonna fight City Hall and win.
I'm still fighting though. I'm angry young man. Billy Joel wrote that song before I was born. That's me.
All right, Doug.
Fist in the air, fighting the.
Let's listen to what Doug has to say.
All I wanted to say was that I'd rather watch even this year, even though with all these injuries, I'd rather watch that than for the most part the first round of the NBA playoffs.
Oh yes,
yeah.
NBA.
I'll leave it there.
Doug, don't get him going with the NBA, please.
Yeah, no,
this turns into a 20-minute conversation, so I just want to warn you. Anyway, all right, let's get to the games at hand and listen to these true professionals give you their analysis and their picks on those games. And let's start with Doug, because I'm really interested to hear what you have to say. Miami at Buffalo, right now it's an 11-point spread, I believe.
13.
13 is up to. That's right. I talked to you yesterday about that. Craig. Sean.
13 points.
13-point spread. So Miami got any chance of covering this game?
Here's what I was thinking about this game, just in general. Okay, when I saw the line that I saw, I forget what day it was. Early in the week was 9.5. Okay, Buffalo, and offhand, honestly, that didn't seem too bad to me if you're thinking about taking the Bills, from that standpoint. But I honestly did figure that it was that the Tua situation was already baked in. Okay, from that standpoint, because when they played 3 weeks ago, it was -7 was the closing line on Buffalo. Okay, and they failed to cover that game. So, and like I said, it's only a few weeks ago. And then when he goes to out officially, which I don't know, I guess you have to make it official in some manner, but the line jumps to 13. So my initial reaction was, I think, and of course I have no way of knowing this, but I think the line movement wasn't just Tua. I also think they were taking a lot of Buffalo money. So it just added up the whole package, okay, to go to 13. Now, in breaking this one down, Ross, you and I talked earlier this year about Skylar Thompson, not the fact that he was the starting quarterback at that time, but he was even on an NFL roster because neither one of us were impressed with what we saw at Kansas State. At times he hasn't looked too bad, okay, when he's played this year, but, he's a rookie quarterback, and he's a rookie quarterback without distinction. So, unless some guy has an exceptional ability, okay, the way they're coached today in the NFL, they don't want him to make mistakes. And even though Thompson has Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle, he is averaging 5.1 yards per pass completion. Okay.
Not good. Yeah.
As opposed to Tua, who's at 8.9. Okay. Problem number 2. Now we add in, they've got a young quarterback and on the road. And what's one of the most basic fundamental problems with almost every young quarterback? How they perform in the red zone. Their teams end up kicking field goals, not scoring touchdowns. Now you add in Raheem Mostert isn't going to play or he's questionable, got a broken thumb. I'm not sure how he makes that work. So that puts all the pressure on Thompson and the Dolphins defense. In 2 games, Buffalo has 943 yards of offense, yet they've only scored 51 points. To me, if Josh Allen and company start moving the pigskin in the same manner, which I think is likely to happen, they build up a working margin. Miami has to score touchdowns. I'm not going to say it's going to be Georgia TCU, okay?
Yeah.
But I think we're headed in that direction. Buffalo comes into this one 10-1 against the spread after scoring 25 or more points in 2 straight games. I'm going to say they go into the fourth quarter with a 31-13 lead, and they end up winning this one by 25. So as crazy as it sounds, take Buffalo -13. I don't know how you take Miami plus the 13 either.
Well, you know what, Doug? Since 2010 postseason, NFL home favorites of 10.5 or greater, when they are that high, usually the odds makers do it for good reason, and usually they're right, because those favorites of 10.5 or more in the postseason playing at home, of course, 9-0 straight up in ATS during that time. So the times they have been that big, they've won and covered. Any thoughts, Mr. Higgs?
Yeah, well, I mean, you add up the offense that we mentioned, right? They 900, almost 1,000 yards offense. They really didn't put a lot of points up because of Allen making some bonehead decisions. But where are the points coming from Miami?
Yeah.
No run game. Okay, Tyreek Hill might break a play or two. How many? You're going to get 3-4 of those broken plays to get them to the red zone to score? And then you add in the emotional element that they could wheel Hamlin out there at the coin flip or something.
Yeah.
For the team boost, like he's home. This is what, like 38-10, 38-13.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, how is Miami scoring 20 points?
Yeah. Well, you know what? And there's a lot of other factors that we usually don't account for. You're talking about the Damar Hamlin situation.
Yeah.
You're talking about
a lot of emotion.
A lot of emotion. The blizzard, having to play in Detroit 2 times in 4 days. What else? Micah Hyde, who is thought to be out for the season, has just been activated. He won't play on Sunday, but it's very secure in knowing that if they advance beyond this round, you're putting another All-Pro back at safety after losing Damar Hamlin.
Yeah.
So Jamison Crowder has also been reactivated after suffering a broken ankle early in the year. He won't play. I think he's going to help them if they advance beyond this round, because Buffalo's slot wide receiver position play has left a lot to be desired this year. Isaiah McKenzie was thought to be the guy who was going to take over, and we'd forget all about Cole Beasley. He hasn't really performed up to snuff. So there's a lot of positive energy in this community right now, meaning where I live in Western New York. And you guys make all good points, so I don't sound too biased in that regard.
Yeah, I also think, like, as much as people are kind of down on Buffalo, like, oh, the defense, they need help. They're doing. Let's be honest. This team is ready for the Super Bowl run. That's what they want. Now it's serious time. Okay, you might have written us off, and I threw some bad passes. Here we come. Look how bad it is when we're. And I was kind of thinking about the under here. Why do I think this is like 45-17? Like it's going to be.
Yeah, it could be. You know, it very well can be. I mean, like Doug said, he's not predicting a TCU Georgia, but he wouldn't be shocked if it's similarly close to that. So. Yeah, you know, it wouldn't shock me either. But again, I like to keep my emotions in check and give a professional opinion. And I'm glad that's why I'm deferring to both of you guys on that. Anyway, Mr. Higgs.
Yes.
Monday night game. Tampa Bay and Dallas. What do you got?
You know, if you wanted Tampa, I hope you bet them at 3 because this line's going to keep coming down. Why do I think this would be like a 1 by kickoff, right? Everybody's going to be jumping on Tom Brady. And this is Dallas all the way. Dallas by double digits. Because everybody's going to be locked into Dak throwing pick sixes and being terrible and 15 interceptions. You only played 5 games. And Mike McCarthy's a terrible coach. And it's Tom Brady. It's Tom. I've seen out of Tampa this year, I saw a series of against, who's that? Atlanta Carolina they came back late against.
Yeah.
I saw some offense there. And then against against Atlanta, they had an opening drive. The entire season, where was this offense? It shows up in the fourth quarter. You get 1 drive out of them. No, you just don't flip a switch. Tom Brady, great players. I don't like their head coach. This offense has been banged up the entire season. I mean, let's go back to week 1 when Tampa pretty much had everybody playing except their starting center, and they couldn't generate any offense, right? I mean, Dallas, they looked like they looked last week. Typical Dallas. Those are the Cowboys. That's what you get out of Dallas. They're going to come in and lay eggs sometimes. This spot here with the world's writing them off, I'm going to say I like Micah. The guy's awesome.
Yeah.
I think he's the difference maker. And in a game that's basically a pick 'em 2.5, 2. Again, I think the line's going to come down. I'm taking Dallas. And it's basically, for me, everyone's on Tampa. What you see last, poor Dallas team. No respect for McCarthy, right? Everybody thinks the guy's, he only won once with Rodgers over there. He's not a good coach. Dak looks terrible. Yada, yada, yada. Look at him. 6 points versus the Redskins. What's going on? No.
Yeah.
It is Dallas all the way next week or Monday, whenever it is. But yeah, Dallas, I'm going to say it's a rout. I don't think it's going to be close.
Yeah, I don't see it coming down to one, but then again, you've been pretty sharp with those kind of predictions this year. So we'll see what transpires there.
Doug, it's 2.5 now. Why easily come down to a 1.5 one? I mean, people are going to keep, because all you hear is Brady's 6-0 versus the Cowboys, everybody. Oh, it's interception, Dak Wilson. Let's go.
Yeah, I mean, but yeah, Doug, I mean, could Tampa Bay stay in this game? I mean, I just don't see it. You know, the bottom line is this is a team that can't run the ball. They're going to be playing against a formidable Dallas defense and a real good Dallas pass rush. What's your thoughts?
Yeah, well, the pass rush thing doesn't bother me so much because Brady gets rid of the ball. You know, so yeah. From that standpoint, I mean, yeah, could he get sacked a few times? I don't have a strong feeling on this game, to be perfectly honest. I'm listening to what you guys are saying, and I certainly can't disagree. I mean, that's a scenario that you can certainly play out, you know, from that standpoint. But I don't know. There's just something uncomfortable about. Well, there's something uncomfortable about both teams, to be perfectly honest, but there's something uncomfortable about Dallas. And, you know, that defense has suffered some injuries of late. You can certainly, you know, not that Tampa Bay is good at running, but you can run on Dallas, you know, from that standpoint. So I'm not going to give away my hand here. I'll just some things that I would look at is some teaser options, okay, on both the side and the total. And I think that's probably the direction I'll probably head more for this particular game.
Yeah. And, you know, one positive thing for Tampa Bay is the fact that all of a sudden Mike Evans is woken up in that connection with him and Brady. 3 touchdown passes, I believe, in their last game, all deep ones. Now, it's a whole different story now when you're playing up against a defense the caliber of Dallas's. Again, you said they can run the ball. The question, meaning Tampa Bay against Dallas, because Dallas has been vulnerable at times against run. But, you know, Doug, is the offensive line good enough to do it? Is the offensive? Yeah, right. I know Brady gets rid of the ball quick. And then going back to my previous statement about those 3 long touchdown passes to Mike Evans, those are slow developing plays that you need time to throw.
Right.
And, you know, we get that Tom Brady reads defenses like no other quarterback in our lifetime anyway. Possibly Joe Montana. I don't know, but all I know is over the last 2 decades, he's been the absolute best. And I think that adheres right to Sean's prediction about people siding with Tampa Bay because of the Tom Brady factor. So we'll see. Interesting takes from both of you guys on that. And I'm going to look at the Giants in Minnesota. I'll try to keep this as quick as possible, folks. These teams met on Christmas Eve in Minnesota. The Vikings closed that game as a 4.5-point favorite, and they barely got by 27-24. They needed a last-second field goal to do so. That game did go over the total of 48. The Giants rang up 445 yards of total offense in that game. Now, look, the Giants have been vastly improved offensively down the final stretch of the season, but I don't think anybody's going to mistake the Giants as being an offensive juggernaut. But Minnesota's defense can make average offenses look really, really good, guys. I mean, they've given up 25 points per game and 388 yards per contest. And quite frankly, that total yards allowed per game usually would dictate that teams would be scoring more than 25 points, which leads me to believe that they've been pretty lucky in situations. Minnesota has gone over the total in their last 4 following an under. They won under last week against Chicago. Those 4 games all had a combined 52 points or more being scored. The Vikings have gone over in 7 of 9 at home. The Minnesota Vikings also 6-1 to the over in their last 7. So a lot to like about a repeat of a higher scoring, entertaining game here. I think the Giants will be able to put up at least a 21-point effort, if not more. And the Vikings are going to be hard to stop, guys. I mean, I don't care who they're playing. This is a terrific offense with really, really good skilled position players. So I'm going to go over the total of 48 here. Your thoughts, starting with Doug.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. And one of the things that the Giants, for example, in the last game, they really focused on Jefferson. Now Jefferson still had a good game, but they really tried to take him away. But then when they tried to do that, that left Hawkinson, okay, and he had a huge game. Okay, from that standpoint. So you got to pick your poison with the Giants. And, if you say you're going to play pass, then even though Dalvin Cook has had a poor second half of the season because of that offensive line in terms of run blocking, you're going to have to choose something. And if you choose the wrong thing, then all of a sudden Dalvin Cook can have a huge game and or also catching the ball. Okay, from that standpoint. So I like the points because that Vikings pass defense is horrific. So, yeah, I agree with you on that one, Ross. Sean, what do you think?
I kind of I don't know about a sidewise. I'm a little flipped up on this because the last game, we got 20 points in the last 6 minutes. A flurry of activity at the end of that game to kind of get on over the total there. I think people are going to run to the Giants right here. What are they, 13-4 against the spread this year? Great as an underdog, right? Yep. And I this line hasn't moved, which has me a little baffled because all you hear is Giants, 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 and right, it's a lot of hype on New York, and nobody likes Kirk Cousins. Prime time, Kirk Cousins, he's terrible, and it's the playoffs, so every game's prime time considered a standalone game. So are people thinking he's coming here laying egg? I think Minnesota wins this one. And as Russ saying about this offense, they score. I mean, over the last, I think, 3 or 4 years, Cousins is right up there. He's top 5 in touchdowns with Allen and Mahomes or whatever. Whoever wants to throw up there, he's up there. The guy, he's got 29 touchdowns this year.
He just happens to fall on his face at big moments on national TV games, but I think he's rectified that though, Sean.
I mean, so he lost. They had a big win. I think they beat the Packers week 4, and then they went in and lost to the Eagles on the road. Well, the Eagles were rolling along to start the season. I mean, they didn't give up a point in the second half for like the first 6, right? How good was that defense to start? I don't think it's a shame when you lose to a good team. That's what good teams do. They dominate and say, hey, this is us this year. We're a Super Bowl contender. I like Minnesota. I like Minnesota. Sidewise, I don't know what I'm doing with the side. I don't know. But I definitely lean Mini here -3. I think people are just hating on Cousins. And not that I hate saying eventually, because as I say, you hope in one hand, you poop in the other, see which one fills up first. But just Minnesota hearing like how you're garbage. That's all you've heard all season. Oh, this team's not real. Dude, you're 13-4. What do you mean it's not a real team? We know how to win. That's all we got to do, right? That's what these guys have done all season long. So I'll lean to Minnesota.
So keep this in mind too, guys. Since the legalization in many states in the United States, New York last year did a $6 billion handle, which is the most of any state that has been legalized. I'm barring Nevada, okay? And with that being said, I agree with Sean. That would tend for me to believe that the Giants are going to get more action here, just based on the fact that you'll get people who bet on the Giants or the Jets every week, no matter who they're playing in whatever situation. So, and Doug, one final note. I mean, you've mentioned that many times over the course of our podcast about the concern about the point per game differential of the Vikings. Despite their record, they're barely outscoring their opponents. They're actually negative. They're negative. So
they're 13-4, and they're minus, I think, 2 or 3 in score differential. So what it was is that in their 13 wins, I believe that I might be off on a point or so. In 13 wins, their margin of victory has been 91, or excuse me, 87. In their 3 or 4 losses, it's minus 89. So when they lose, they lose. Okay, that's been their MO. So to me, that's just off the top. That's a concern. I mean, there's, I agree with Sean. That is their biggest trait is that they've won. Okay, but what happens if they fall behind? That's what I wonder about them. So that's why, to me, offhand, with doing this video, that's why the total makes more sense to me.
Sean, any thoughts on that particular topic with the point per game differential?
Well, I mean, Dallas beat you 41-3. That's you lose 40 to any, I mean, you lose by 30, 40 points. That's going to skew a bunch of numbers. But to me, the Giants are an offensive juggernaut where even if they're behind 10-0, they can still stick to their game plan. We're going to run a little bit with Cook. We got Hawkinson over the middle, tight end. I mean, Jefferson, the wide receiver's good. Thielen's still good. I mean, the weapons are there to because I'm not. You think the Giant defense is this Lawrence Taylor-esque defense, Strahan defense, Super Bowl defense? I don't think this is a Super Bowl defense.
No, not whatsoever. They're solid. They got a great defensive coordinator, in my opinion. I love Brian Dable, by the way, because I feel so good for what he's done this year. But cast that aside, I mean, this is a whole different entity getting into the NFL postseason on the road.
I think he's got the edge, though. I mean, he was at Buffalo. I mean, he's been in kind of games like this, so I think he's got the edge over the Minnesota guy.
Alabama, he was the offensive coordinator of Bama in the national championship game where he had to put 2 in for Hurts. Was it Hurts? Yeah,
it was.
Mm-hmm. How about that? So anyway, any final thoughts, guys? Okay, real quick question, and we only got like 3 or 4 minutes. Okay, so we got to make this quick. A sleeper in the AFC, a sleeper in the NFC. Doug.
Oh boy, a sleeper. That's I hate to call of the teams. Philadelphia, I mean, they're a favorite. I actually don't like Dallas. I guess by seeding, I can only go by that. And the biggest sleeper is not a sleeper at all, which is San Francisco.
Yeah.
I'm going to say, for the AFC, how do you even go? It's the top 3, but maybe the Chargers, if they get by Jacksonville, they got the roster to compete with any of these teams. They have the offense and defensive stars to say we could match it. Yeah. But off the cuff like that would be my spot. And in the NFC, I mean, really, after Dallas, Philly, and San Fran, I guess we have to go Minnesota. I mean, actually, Minnesota's the 2 seed, so they're not even the sleeper.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess I can say Dallas, right? Because Dallas is the 5. So I can say Dallas as a sleeper, I guess.
As usual, you're stealing my thunder as usual.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay. That's okay, because brilliant minds think alike. I mean, look, the top 3 in the AFC are, I think head and shoulders above the rest. But if there is a sleeper in the AFC, I like the Chargers because of Justin Herbert. I like the Chargers when their wide receiver room is healthy. Now, Mike Williams, like you alluded to on yesterday's show, got hurt, went out last week. He is right now listed as questionable, I believe. And I've also seen reports where it's highly doubtful he's going to play. But if they got Mike Williams and Keenan Allen healthy, with Austin Eckler in the backfield and a pretty good defense, I'm not going to call them a great defense. And if Joey Bosa is healthy, that's another obstacle you have to overcome. He might not play this week. In terms of a sleeper in the NFC, I agree with Sean. I mean, Dallas is a wild card. Yeah, whether you like it or not, they got a good record. They're better than probably I wouldn't say they're better than San Fran right now, but they're better than the other 2 division winners.
Yes.
So I would say that would be my pick as a sleeper. So again, folks, you can find Doug at DocSports.com. You could find Sean at picksandparleys.net. Sean does a great show, a podcast Monday through Sunday, every day, 12 o'clock live Eastern time. It's called Midday Money. Doug does videos for docs, not only on this podcast, but he does individual videos himself, Tuesday through Sunday at DocSports.com. You can find both of those at each site's YouTube channel. And Sean, he's a big shot. He's all over the country now. So in any event, guys, it's been an absolute pleasure. I thank you for your time. And I hope you viewers out there, after listening to us today, are smarter sports better today than you were yesterday. For Doug Upstone, Sean Higgs, and Ross Benjamin, thank you. Take care and God bless, folks.